today we completely sold out all of our tickets before we even began, which is a complete first for Story Slam. And welcome to our end of year special. Who's been here before? Great, who hasn't been here before? Guys, it's not normally this good. Normally, way simpler, just like me on a stage, or one of the hosts on a stage, and then a story. But today, we have a whole bunch of cool new things. Our cool new banner. I never look professional and real now. Isn't it great? Then we have our tree with our customised Story Slam baubles, as every year. So you should come during the interval party, which we'll get to. You can come and grab yourself a Story Slam bauble. And then we have our delicious cornucopia of food. Ooh. So the way today's going to work is, quickly, if people haven't been to Story Slam before, the way this works is, we're going to hear true stories told from people's lives. So all the stories you're going to hear today are going to come from people in the audience. So if you want to tell a story on stage, what you can do is you can put your name on one of these yellow slips of paper and put it in the hat. And if your name is pulled out of the hat, you come up on stage and tell a true story from your life. And then if you're not feeling so brave, you just want to tell a story to the ether, you can write an anonymous one-line story, put them in this hat here. And normally we have a theme of some kind, but this year is just our end of year this month is our end of year special, so we're sort of looking for stories of the year just been, things that have just happened. We're looking for stories of renewal, stories of new things, new beginnings, endings, that kind of thing. But also basically, feel free today to just like tell the stories you want to tell. We're not going to be super strict, and we just want to hear all your stories. But I think the first thing we should do before we even begin is you've all got Christmas crackers. And I reckon we all need to have our party hats on for our Story Slam party. We have the lights up. Right, what you need to do is that everyone here is super friendly, all super nice. To the person next to you, make sure we're going to do it together. Hang on, whoa! We've got to do it together. Okay, person next to you. Nice. Right, after 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, hats on. If anyone's got a spare hat, I will take it. Right, anyone here got a joke they want to say? Anyone here got a joke they want to read out? Oh, I got a hat. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's a party. I remember telling an American friend of mine, yeah, we all wear crowns at Christmas. And they're like, what? You actually wear crowns? Like, we do. Right. We've all got jokes. Okay, right. Everyone listen? Everyone? Right.
What do snowmen eat for breakfast?
Frosted!
Snowflakes.
Snowflakes. Right, one more, because we've got to move on with a terrible joke. Hey, we're quite cheap. Any more? You have to lean forward, friend.
Okay, why does Father Christmas go down the chimney? Because it soots him.
Jesus. Okay, so welcome. I feel like we're now properly attired for our end of year Christmas party. Can we get the lights down? Great, thank you. So, on to the actual why we're here today. So, stories. What you can do is tell a live, true story up on stage. But we have a few rules for those stories. So, the way it works is, first of all, they've got to be true. They've got to be real stories that happen to you in your life, and you've got to be the first person character in the story, basically. It can't be a story about your friend or a friend or your friend's dog, but you can tell me a dog story after the event, because I want to hear that story. They've also got to be 5 minutes long. So that is so that we can fit as many people as we can into today. But also because we think that 5 minutes is a good amount of time for a story. So what's going to happen is if you have a story to tell, you come up on stage, you're going to have 5 minutes to tell your story. And if you get to 5 minutes, you'll hear a musical notation, which I'm only now realising I have not arranged. But there is someone who will have an ocarina in the office, which they will blow on, and that will be the signal that you've got, your 5 minutes is up and you've got to wrap up. You'll then have a 1-minute grace period, and then after that, another musical notation will sound, and that means we've loved your story, but please get off the stage now. This is so that, we can hear as many stories as possible, basically. The other rules are a little strange. They've got these stories. So it's a bit hard to describe, but they're not going to be anecdotes, not going to be stand-up routines or monologues or rants or anything. We just want to hear stories that you might hear around the campfire, stories you might hear, traipsing home late at night with a kebab in your hand. We want to hear those stories that you just tell people because you want to. The stories you've got in your head so we want it straight out of your brain, out your mouth to the audience. And in the same vein, that'll be no notes or no props, so that it's just round the campfire storytelling. Also, something to mention before we go on is that the stories aren't always nice. We're in a good mood today, we've got lots of food, lots of friends and everyone here who comes to see Stories Time all the time, we love to see you. But stories aren't always nice, because these stories are all true, and stories that are true are sometimes horrible. And so we want to be able to hear those stories as well as the nice ones. So in order to facilitate that, we want everyone to feel comfortable. So on the back of the name tickets you have something called content warnings that are explained. Basically it's if your story contains something that has any distressing content, or something you feel people may not want to hear, you can tick what it might be on the back, things like violence, things like abuse, things like eating disorders, that kind of thing, and you can make a note of it, and then I will read that content warning out for the story, and whoever wants to leave can leave, or whoever wants to go out for any reason can go out for any reason. Okay, that makes sense? Yeah. Great. We have a photographer here today, Tara Langford. Woo! And also we have a big welcome, round of applause to our people who are filming from DVA Films. They seem super lovely. It's Jacob and Charlotte. Woo! They are up there and up there. And this will be appearing on YouTube, hopefully. If you want to appear on the video, you can make a note of it on your name ticket. Was opt-in, so no one will be included if they want to be. Also, if you feel like you in the audience want to be included, come let us know. Let me know, let one of them know. I'll make sure you are in the video. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all the things, guys. What I might do then first is I might tell you a story of men. Yeah, everything good? Awesome. Okay, cool. So in the theme of telling stories that have happened to us over the past. My thing has happened to me over the past year, but really it's a thing that's been going on for an awful long time. Because when you grow up, you just assume that the way you experience the world, the way you experience your childhood and your family are just normal. All those things are just completely normal. And you look back on you like, Christ, that was not normal at all. Why was any of that normal? But you just don't know any different. So, slowly began to realise my family wasn't normal, because at one point, we had 13 dogs in the house when I was born, and so I was raised among dogs. More dogs than humans, I think it's fair to say. And my mum tells this story where I went to school and I asked my friend what their dogs' names were, and he was like, "We don't have dogs." I was like, "What? That doesn't make sense. That's not how it works. All houses have dogs." And then slowly realising, my family was not normal, and my family was torn completely apart. By my father, who is a complete maniac. And that also was not particularly normal, but only really as you get older and older do you look back on these things and piece them apart. But one time especially I remember was when I found out that my mum had adopted a child, gave a child up for adoption when she was young. And I was like, right, normal. That's some Coronation Street stuff. That's like EastEnders. That's the things you see portrayed in media and stuff. And it was a thing that was known in the family, and it was just everyone just knew it was just a thing. And for me especially, it was a thing that was in the past. It was I've got a tight family nowadays, much really close to my family, me and my 3 siblings. And we would go through all sorts of trouble and call my mum infinite grief and wreak havoc and get expelled from school and kick each other and that kind of stuff. But we had this tight-knit bond, and we always knew about this person who existed somewhere, but they exist somewhere and they're sort of not really real. So I actually knew this person's name from a young age. I knew because I spied on my mum, because I really wanted to know the password for the internet. because it was back in the day of dial-up, and I just wanted to get on the internet. So I don't know what I want to do, but like play some game or something, or look up about things I should be looking up. I looked at my mum's shoulder and she was typing in a password. She typed in the word Jamie. And I was like, that's weird, because my name's James. So maybe it's referring to me in some way. Maybe that's, I don't know why that word would come up. So it was only later that I realised this was the name my mum had given this person. Anyway, this year has been, Jesus, a weird year. And I think, maybe I speak for all of us when I look back at it and be like, what was that? It was just like, and just complete chaos from start to finish. Complete chaos socially and geopolitically, and also complete chaos in my life. I lived in a different country for a while and had like a really ill-advised, really intense relationship that ended spectacularly. And then, a few days after that relationship ends, I get a call from my mum. My mum says, hey Jim, I just want to meet up just for a quick chat. Nothing serious, it's all good. And nothing bad, it's all good. Just want to speak to you. And this is weird. This is weird. Like, it doesn't quite feel right. Like, my mum's the most loving woman in the whole world, and super loving. But the way she says it, it's like, it's not bad, but I need to talk to you. It's like, so it's a good thing, but you've got to talk to me about it in person. So my mum gets me into a room and shows me this beautifully written and like very cogently written letter from this man called Richard. And this man is the person my mum gave for adoption when he was really young. And he is a 41-year-old man who lives in New York and is the president of a tech company. And he has two wives. Two wives, 2 kids, 2 dogs. No. There's a wife, a kid, and 2 children. And dogs. And I know. And suddenly I was just like, what the fuck? Because suddenly this thing that was in the past, suddenly right now, it's like, wait, so no, he's like a baby. Like ages ago. But suddenly it was really present, and I was so happy for my mum. And you've noticed my mum's so ecstatically happy. My mum has been like grinning from ear to ear ever since like Richard got back in touch. Like giddy with excitement. And you don't obviously like mum's giddy, but my mum is. But suddenly I had like a whole welling of mixed feelings. Like I was like, what? Like I don't know who am I anymore? Like, because I'm like Jim, I'm like James. Like my mum's like, oh this boy. Oh no wait, no I'm not. And I do stuff and I'm successful. Am I? And then it's like, this person's pretty successful, they've got all the things, they got like a wife and however many children I mentioned, and however many dogs I mentioned, and like, they've got a house and stuff, and they're president of a thing, and just like, oh fuck, what am I doing with my life?
Everything wonderful.
What on earth have I achieved? And I feel that, and I was worried that my mum wouldn't like love me anymore. And it sounds so stupid, but it's like, what do you do when suddenly you've got like another sibling? It's just like your whole world just like completely changes. And so I kept trying to keep this in, I kept keep it in, and I was like, I've got to not tell mum, because mum's so happy, I don't want to be sad around mum, and eventually I just like broke down, and just like crying, and like nosebleeds, and I was just like a complete snotty mess. And my mum sat me down, and I was like blubbering, and I was trying to explain why it felt so bad, even though it felt good. And my mum said a thing that I say to people. She said, Jim, my love isn't finite. I'm not going to love anybody less, I've just got to love this person as well. And I say that because I haven't got like a finite amount of love, I just apportion out and then it's gone. You just love everyone who you love. So, he visited, and his name is Richard, and he is just like us. He is just like us. He likes electronic music. He was a DJ in London for 10 years. He likes dogs. He's weird. And just like us, looks just like him, looks just like me. And met him, and I was so incredibly scared, and I met him, and he was just really lovely. And so this year, really soon, on Friday, we are all going away, the whole family, me and my 4 siblings, and all their families, are all going away for Christmas together. And we're going to see what it's like all living together for a bit. So yeah, that's my story. My mum's here today, and she is a complete sweetie, and I love my mum deeply, so yeah, yay mum. It's time for some stories, don't you? Yeah? Great. Actually, I didn't even give you an example of one-line stories. I'll give you one of these. Thank you for everyone who's written one of these so far, by the way. Feel free to chuck more in if you want. So we haven't really got a strict theme, so these things say on them, in 1 or 2 sentences, tells a true story of your choice. And this person has written, the older I get, the happier I am with my decision to leave behind toxic family members and celebrate the beautiful family of friends I have in Bristol. Yeah. I love it here. I feel like I'm cheating because I was born here. It's like, yeah, Bristol's really nice. Like, everyone loves where they live, probably. But I actually like it here. It's great. Okay, we'll do one more, then we have for a storyteller. I work as a school librarian. I came to my desk to find a lovely little lunchbox with my name on it. It had sandwiches, cucumber sticks, even a froob. I fucking love froobs. So I went to the staff. Where did we get froobs? Froobs here? No. So I went to the staff room, showed everyone, and ate my anonymous gift. Oh no. Half an hour later, a boy came to my desk, saw the lunchbox, and said, "Oh, there's my lunchbox. I thought I'd lost it." I feigned ignorance. I have no remorse. I was spending Christmas working at a mine. What? Where you sleep and work on site for a few weeks. I stayed up late the night before with my friends. So hungover, I made my way to the breakfast cabin. On the way, a joyful man took in my poorly face, laughed, and said, "Morning, princess." I snarled, gave him a 2-finger salute, and told him to fuck off. It wasn't until a minute later I realised he had, in fact, said, "Merry Christmas." And I ruined his morning. Poor man. But Christmas spirit. Can stand you people. My mum went out with James Earl Jones, brackets, actor who played Darth Vader. That's useful, thank you. Very briefly, when she was younger. Briefly. When my friends found out, the first thing they said was,
"I am your father."
Imagine the phone sex.
Imagine the phone sex. I'm sorry to make you out yourself. I read it as I'm going to phone sex. I'm like, weird. One way of saying it. Imagine the phone sex. Yeah, all the heavy breathing. Yeah. Choking at distance. You wouldn't have to be there. You can choke somebody. Oh, sorry. Mums can like choking too. Oh, fuck. I should probably not read you more of these. Drum roll, please. Next one is going to be Terry. Oh, sorry. No content warnings for that story, so one more of these will have Terry up on stage. I always cheat when I play games. So I'm looking forward to a family Christmas where I win all the goodies. I see you. You're like our younger sister. Who's just like, I didn't do anything, it's fine. Like, my baby sister, she'd like throw food at us, and then be like, Mum! And then like, turn around, basically be like, me? Couldn't possibly be me, like halo appearing above her head. And it's you're the one, you're like the banker, you're like the banker in Monopoly, and he's like, keep a secret stash for yourself. You break families apart. I hope you win all the goodies. And people don't get too annoyed. Right, then we have a different one. Round of applause, please, for Terry.
Hi. This has been an amazing year. It's been up and down, but it has. I'm stood here today in grace. So anyway, I started the year, I was in France, and I was being all romantic and shit, thinking I was a poet. Well, I was typing up some poetry, I just staying with some friends. But I had to come back sort of like towards the end of January for some test results, and I was given some bad news, a diagnosis which I just really wasn't ready to face, and yeah, it really set me back, and I tried to manage it, but yeah, I didn't manage it very well. And it caused a sequence of events that took me right back to fucking hell again. So yeah, it started off really well, I had this really horrible thing to face, and thankfully everything's fine. But I think for me, going to that place after getting to the point of sort of like just seeing my dreams possibly coming to fruition, and then faced with losing them, and for me it was the case of losing all hope, and I would have lost life in a way that just would have destroyed me. So. So thankfully, I was able to face that, and I was able to come through that. It was a very difficult time. But it just shows me, I've just got a story that happened yesterday. Part of the reason why I went to France was that I broke up with somebody a few years ago, and being a hopeless romantic who just loves to stay in pain for the sake of art. I'm a dick. Yeah. So yeah, I just stayed in this place, and it was great for my work and stuff. I don't think it was very great for my soul, if I'm honest. but I did, and I think going through that made me realise that, you know, I need to make the most of each moment in life. So I started dating again, and yesterday I went out on a date. It didn't go too well. Not all dates do. But the funny thing was that when I got back to the centre of Bristol before I was going home, I bumped into my ex, the one that I'd been in mourning for way too long, basically. And I just think it was brilliant for me, anyway, to be faced with this woman who meant so much to me and that I'd been holding on to for so long. I'm realising that I have changed. I may have stayed in those moments, but it was just a wonderful time for me to be able to just know solidly that there has been some movement on the post. So yeah, so I suppose for me it's just been a year of facing my demons, joys, perils, but still being able to stand here today and knowing that no matter how many times I've fallen, I'm being brought back up from the ground for a reason. I may not fully understand what that is right now, but I just believe that if I keep living from the heart, putting one foot forward, doors open and dreams come true. So I just wish you all happy Christmas. have a wonderful time and dream. And fucking dream big. Please.
Oh man, breakups are hard. Yes, like, take every moment as it comes and try and like achieve all your stuff, but man, when you're in the middle of like trying to recover from a breakup, it's just like so hard. And even, well, sometimes breakups end because the people who we're with were dicks. And you're like, oh, I'm glad I'm out of that. That was awful. But it's sometimes it's people who you just have like sincere differences with. And actually you get on really well, but you just realise you can't be together, and that's just hard because you're trying to reconcile someone who you like and someone who you like appreciate being around, someone who you love, but you just don't work together in that kind of context. And like, no wonder people can like end up for so long being in this space in pain for your art. And no wonder, and I really feel that. I find myself very easily get like stuck in that like my wheels turning in like the mud of like another person. Anyway, thank you so much for your story. I really appreciate it. Okay, so another one. By the way, this person's handwriting is beautiful. I just gotta say, like, I'm not sure if we can see, but it's just like cursive. It's beautiful, isn't it? Sorry, I don't want to out anybody. When my brother and I were younger, my dad walked into the kitchen to find we had pinned our pet cat to the floor and were attempting to operate on it with plastic knives. It's lucky it is written in such beautiful cursive. If it was written in like, if it was written in letter cut of a newspaper, it might be. I hope the cat is okay. I hope that was your last time of any amateur operations or amateur surgery. Okay, I've never tried to operate on an animal before. I know people who have had to emergency operate on animals in order to try to save their lives. Anyway, one thing we used to do was it's not an operation thing. Don't worry, we didn't cut any animals up. We had ferrets, and ferrets are these like super energetic, creative little creatures. And after dogs and cats, I think they're like the best pet. They are just wonderful. They smell to high heaven, but they are great. And because they're predators, and because they have a sense of play, and they have a sense of who you are and sociality and who each other is. Whereas guinea pigs are sort of, you know, they have just like two modes, and it's like eat and then run away. Because that's what they do, you know, and that's fair enough, everyone has their niche. I think it takes all sorts. I mean, there's no shaming here for animals. But ferrets, smarter than a guinea pig. I don't know where I was going with this actually. So we had ferrets, and they love play. So we bought them all these like tubing, so more like guttering and stuff. And but they also just really loved towels. So they're like running out of towels and make little tunnels inside. What me and my siblings used to do is each, because at that time there was 4 of us, each of us would hold a corner of the towel and then just launch a ferret in the air. So the ferret would like run onto the towel, each of us just like push the ferret up in the air. And like, you never went too high, because you didn't want to like launch the ferret into the ceiling, but these ferrets fucking loved it. They were like, yes, we live for this. They twist around in the air and then land back on the towel and they'd run off because they were kind of scared. They'd be like, okay, again. Run again. And we could go higher and higher each time. We had to be really careful. We did and we started doing a thing where we'd throw them from towel to towel. So you had 2 of us holding one towel, 2 on the other towel, and you'd like launch them to the other towel. Luckily, no ferrets were harmed in the process of ferret trampolining. Yeah, that's what it used to be. Kids are strange. I mean, we also used to like keep pet slugs. And I remember my sister just like quite lovingly caressing slugs, just like in the gardens. You know? We all know how it is, don't we? Yeah. Also, just because she might see this, she also ate mud. And worms. Okay, right. Enough of that. Let's have another storyteller. Drum roll, please. Next one is going to be Prem Martin. Woo! Is that how I say it? Is that right? Great. Just take a moment. There's no content warnings for this story, so I'm going to read one of these and I'm going to invite Prem up onto the stage. My kitten. Oh, guys. This better not be another operation story. DC, short for Deathclaw. Yeah! Went missing on Friday night. Wait, is this a sad story? Saturday morning, we went out calling her, no response. Same again Saturday evening, went to bed sad. Woke up this morning with her curled up at my feet. Phew. Little Deathclaw went on an adventure. Where's Deathclaw been? Who knows? Causing havoc somewhere, I think, with a name like Deathclaw. I think like gone out and eviscerated some small animal somewhere. Ferret story again. So we lost one of our ferrets went missing, and it's like the dread and the fear when you lose a pet, and you're like, where are they? So you go around the houses and you call and you do all these things. And it was like ages. The ferret was called Louise. They were called Velma and Louise because they would just launch themselves off things for some reason. So Louise went missing, and so days and days went by. We were like, Louise might be dead. We just don't know. I was like sitting on the sofa, and I just hear this like scrabbling noise in the ceiling. I'm like, what? Because we had like rats in the house, so I thought maybe rats. But no, just like maybe rats. But then I was like, quite a persistent scrabbling noise. I was like, doesn't sound like a rat. So I go upstairs, just put my ears to the ground in the bathroom, and just hear this like. You know how ferrets are. Perfect ferret impression, that. And like scratching noises. I was like, I think that's the ferret, you know. So no one else in the house, and I was like, well, I guess this is where I live my dream of using the crowbar. And so I go to the kitchen, I get the crowbar, I go upstairs, and I just crowbar these like wooden slats up, and there's Louise looking at me like she was feral. She had snapped. Like when she'd been gone, she'd been chasing after rats in the middle of the house for days, and so I like put my hand in and she sinks her teeth into me. I was like, you fucking bitch. Like, put her out and just got this ferret, and I like put her back in her cage, and she like instantly goes like her bed and just like curls up. I'm like, good. Sorry, right. What are we doing? Please, a big round of applause for our next storyteller, who's Prem. Woo!
Thank you, the power of the microphone. It's quite intimidating not knowing why you've come, even worse, why I'm going to say anything in a microphone. But I found myself, as in the Tales of Zen, being a nobody, just putting a piece of paper in and suddenly go, what the fuck am I doing? Yes! Bollocks. And I'm actually only talking to spotlights, which makes it much easier, as I can only see 4 people here. So the audience of 4,000 in the Colosseum has suddenly disappeared as I'm up here. So I want to take you back, given the years, the dinosauric years that I've passed through, aged 10 to 59, back to the first years of dissent. Now, we live in a world where dissent has become popularised by the mythological far right. It's as if we had to legalise everything in the liberal world, but only the far right has given themselves permission. Fuck that. My sense of dissent came when I was 11. Back in the 1970s, the Beatles had long hair, and I first saw them singing on the Apple building, and I kept growing my hair, much to the dismay of my teachers. Anything over the collar, and I went to an English public school, you could be severely punished for, and you have your head shaved and so on like that, which happened. So I ran away from school. I actually wrote a fake letter, pretending with my dad's signature, faking it, that I'd been given permission to have long hair. The spelling mistakes gave it away. So there I was, about to be bent over and caned. You don't have that anymore. But those are the post-war period. Now we come from a post-war traumatic period. Most of the teachers all came out the trenches or tanks. They were all lunatics. Yeah? Distorted. So we had to deal with that. The English never really had to lose anything as a country. It helps a lot if you have to talk to yourselves about what went wrong. But when you live in a world full of pride and vanity, as the males, and the teachers, the people who fought courageously sometimes, my girlfriend's father was at Dunkirk pulling people out of the water, my dad was punched in the face by Nazis in Vienna in 1938 for refusing to salute. You understand that later, but when you're living in the black and white world of, hello Jeffrey, washing the car again, you think, oh, I can't wait to escape suburbia. So speed on through the public school life. I don't know what I'm talking about really. I'm glad you're listening. Are you still here? Is everybody on the edge of their seat? Is it like a bit like climbing Mount Everest at the moment? Well, it certainly is for me.
You're doing great.
At the age of 17, I got together with my school friends and we performed the first rebellious theatre in the first 500 years of the school's history, taking the piss out of everything we could. Now, I'm going to name drop, because luckily, we didn't know it then, but many of us became professional mischief makers. My friend, Harry, he went on to work with Sacha Baron Cohen, and he actually started Have I Got News For You, which is very dormant now, but at the time it was something fresh and different. Taking the piss out of the establishment, like Private Eye, love it. But it doesn't go far enough. What did I want to do? I'd come from a sort of up-and-coming proto-petit bourgeois background where the parents had worked hard in order to send their son to school. It didn't mean anything in cultural terms. I was surrounded by people with very posh backgrounds, and I never felt that posh. Let me take you back to the 70s. We think we're in a world of confusion and conflict. It was happening on the streets. Now, what the French do is they take up paving stones, and good luck to them. My friend who's 64 has just been on the bridges at London Bridge with Extinction Rebellion. So anybody here approve of Extinction Rebellion? Let's hear a hooray for them. Yay! And anybody who doesn't? Hooray! Because it's Christmas. So that kind of thing was happening, but en masse. Back in the 70s in Italy, I'm half Italian. My mother had grown up as a child with the Prime Minister next door as a next-door neighbour as a child. They grew up. And he was the famous Kennedy assassination case of the Italian Republic. He was Aldo Moro. And I met him in my grandmother's flat. My grandmother was there doing her hair. He came to give his condolences to my grandmother. And he was sitting there on the kitchen chair. He didn't take the armchair. The police had come in to check the flat and everybody was in. And my mother turns to me and says, Aldo, in Italian, don't sit like that, you'll never attract the girls. And then my auntie goes back to my grandmother and says, but the Prime Minister, Aldo Moro, is waiting for you. And my grandmother, because in those days, hierarchy meant everything, age meant everything, he was younger by 20, 30 years. Let him wait. He gave his condolences, we had a few more gags along the way, but let me speed you through. So in 77, then he gets assassinated. He gets assassinated by the Red Brigades. He gets kidnapped by, it was a conspiracy by the Americans. And I want to bring this firmly in, that we live in a world of collusion and conspiracy. So he was the Italian famous assassination. They assassinated him in Rome, kidnapped him, 3 months, big case, all over the papers, still goes on. What happens with dissent when you've got so much disempowerment happening on the social level? What happens to you? You feel like when you're a child, oh fuck, I'm going to get caned. Oh shit, I can't say shit to a ghost, I've got to mind my P's and Q's because of offending. We had Life of Brian, which was like, I was sitting next to 2 Christian evangelists. Any Christian evangelists, please leave the room right now. I was sitting next to 2 Christian evangelists and they were taking notes in the Swiss Cottage Odeon of how offensive the Life of Brian was. And I was literally pissing myself with my friend. And the next one said, and they were going, must be on drugs. Like this. So you can imagine this black and white world, you're kind of like, I can't take any more. So, I went off squatting. I didn't have any cash. On the dole, it was easier in those days. Tell me how long I've got, by the way. If I've only got a minute, I shall run off stage screaming. How many?
Minute.
I joined a crew. The International Times was an underground radical newspaper. We worked out of Islington. We got firebombed by the right-wing members of the police. We were part of a crew called Demolition Decorators. We'd go out in the street and we got arrested. Now, I didn't get arrested, but anyway. So my friend got arrested, he got done up on charges. He said, right, he had been working with Sufi people. Sufi people are Gnostic Muslims. They basically have been harangued, executed and so on by the official Muslims because they're completely wacky. They do whirling. I don't know if you're ever familiar with Rumi and stuff like that. George Gurdjieff, a few meetings with remarkable men, Peter Brook. So he dressed up as a proto-Muslim in the court. We went to Bow Street Court. I was dressed in teacher's uniform with a hat. My friend Bozo the Clown had a big red wig and big red nose and big floppy thing. We all fell out of a comma van with 12 musicians. And we went into court, and the judge said, right, did you swear on the Bible? And he goes, no, I'm a Muslim. So he takes a tea towel out of his pocket, and he throws it on the ground. He's got bare feet, and he talks gibberish. He went, he went on for about 5 minutes like this. He said, oh, thank you very much. And then I called for a witness for defence, and he was my friend dressed as a Viking. He just put on the sheepskin rug in the morning, and a calendar on his head with 2 horns. And he says, witness for the yes, and what's your name? He says, Thor. So, he says, Thor? He said, well, that's my stage name. He said, what's your family name? So I don't have a family, I live with my mum. He said, well, what's your father's name? Surname? Oh, he left. He said, so what's your mum name? He said, Mum, I call her Mum. And my friend called from the audience, and the Muslim said, don't answer any more questions. He said, silence in the court. And frankly, it was a disaster. And that was basically the start and the beginning and the start of permanently dissenting for life. Take it with you, hold it here, and keep on going. Thank you very much.
Applause for Prem. Wow, Prem. I think I was taken to several different time periods and several different scenarios, and I feel like I need to listen to it again to digest everything you just said. Thank you so much for that whistle-stop tour. I feel like you're totally right. I wasn't sure what word you were saying at the beginning when you were saying descent. I thought you meant descending down a mountain, but you're totally right. Descent is so important. Without the right to dissent, there is no liberty. You need to be able to dissent in order to have a society that works cohesively, not that ours particularly does all the time. Also, what you're saying about the world being a mess of sort of conspiracies and chaos, and I really feel that. I think that one of the most terrifying things I ever realised was that everyone is just like me, and that everyone is just as flawed, and everyone is just as full of contradictions and full of their own desires and issues, and that of course there's corruption everywhere and stuff happening all over the place, and it's just every single institution is made up of another group of people. That's a bit scary. But also, I think it's quite hopeful because there's no ultimately an overarching thing which is evil or bad or corrupt, but there's just a bunch of people whose minds you can change and whose views can change. I think the world is just so malleable, so tantalisingly malleable, but also so set. I don't know, talking rubbish now. I think what we're going to do then is have our interval. Yay! So, normally what I'll be inviting you guys to do is to go out, buy some drinks, do whatever you like in the Old Man Assembly, but this time we're having a small party. So I think for the next 25 minutes, come get some food, come get some drinks. We have wine, we have fruit, and we have crisps and all sorts of things. We have some music on, we're going to have some pie poppers and stuff. So come down and enjoy, and we'll start again in about 20 minutes' time. Thanks, everyone.
It's the most wonderful time with the cocktail belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time. It's the happiest season of all. With those holiday greetings and gift readings, right, friends?